Hello, welcome back. My name is Vasco the Gamer, and today I'm going to talk about the old Megaman games, as you might remember them. And I'm not talking about those who came out for the NES or SNES, or SNES if you want, or the PlayStation ones. I'm talking about those for the Game Boy. And I love those games. That was the Megaman Battle Network games and Star Force that came to DS. These all came out around 2000, late 90s, early 2000s. And the fourth installment was my first introduction to the series, and I loved that game. I played it for hundreds of hours because I wasn't really that good at the game, and so I prolonged it a lot. And thanks to Stephanie or at HappySimEgg and our conversation on Twitter today, as you can see here, a tiny bit of, I just remembered that it's years since I played those games. I want to play them again. And so, when New Year's comes around, I'm going to play the hell out of them, along with all the games that I got the other day. And I have a few videos ready for tonight, which is great for everyone. And at the same time, I really want to start Let's Play on the old Mega Man games, and I'm of course then starting with Battle Network 1, because I'm going through the entire Battle Network. And I'm thinking about using an emulator for it, because the old Game Boy of mine is not as easy to use, and also converting that onto the PC and then recording software is going to be hard, so it's way easier to just go through an emulator on the computer and then move on with, let's say, OBS that just take the entire screen up. Resolution isn't that good on the early games, but that will change dramatically over the time. These are some of my favorite games when I grew up, because I remember playing a lot of Mega Man. I started with the fourth installment, then moved back till Mega Man 1, 2, 3, and then the fifth one is very interesting because that featured both on the Game Boy SP, or it was an advanced game, but the SP was console on itself. It was just, okay, we can turn the brightness up, and it's a cubicle shape, so you got a screen there and you can just see directly towards it. And at the same time, you had DS, which had just launched, as I remember. Fact check over here, please. And what I loved about that game is that you had, with the DS, an additional element to the game. You could control both Mega Man and Proto Man, or depending on which version you had, it was Proto and Mega Man. So you had to use the touchpad a lot. And from that point on, that was Mega Man 5 or 6. I can't really remember which it was right now. I will check that up. Anyway, moving on a few years ahead into the future, Back to the Future. And we have the Star Force games, which was only released for Nintendo DS, DS Lite, and this was before the 3DS. Way before. So, anyway, there you had another installment in another bit of the franchise, about 200 years after the events of the original Mega Man, and then you had Battle Network and moving on. And I love that it's all in the same universe, different characters, and well, it was a debate for decades, basically, what Mega Man was. Was he a robot, a cyborg, or an android? Cyber life. The answer is that, okay, he's not cyborg, since they are very little human, but then again, that is really depending on who is Mega Man. Which Mega Man are we playing as? Is it a human that has tuned in with X here to create Mega Man? In that case, maybe. Or if it's back to the original version where he didn't have... He was just a robot, or just a machine, so robot or android, depending on how, smart he was. Basically, you have a tiny difference between those two. Let's set up here. There we go. So, good. Moving on. Mega Man has a great franchise, and also there's been a lot of games. You have good and you have bad fan games or spiritual releases that has come in the recent years. Then again, I didn't play a lot of the original Mega Man games that came out for the NES and SNES, just because, well, one, I was barely born at the time, and two, I never owned an NES or SNES. So if I'm going to play those, I have to go to a friend of mine to play them. And as you remember, growing up I didn't have that many friends, and those I had who was interested in games just had the same equipment as I had. That was bad PC, as most often, PS2 and a Game Boy. That's it. And you had a lot of good games for those as well. But, sorry. And so, just to conclude this, I'm going to play some bloody Mega Man games, and I love them. Love them so much, because the Battle Network games are quite different from what you expect from a Mega Man game if you were growing up with the original Mega Man games, which are mix of shmups and mix of just, yeah, run and shoot, basically, with a bit of strategic elements to them. Platformer, mostly. Battle Network is card collecting, strategic, and basically you have nine different fields that you can move on. Enemy is the same, depending on the cards, you can push them closer to their wall or the opposite happens. And then you just fire everything you got and try to defeat them. And that's about it. You have a lot of story elements here and there. There are references to the old games and a bit of a story both prologue and epilogue. Yeah, good story elements, good stakes, high risks sometimes, and very interesting. Great mechanics all over the place. Anyway, I hope to see you all soon when I'm going to launch that series and play those games because I love them. Yeah, I'm a bit up when it comes to those kinds of games. Also, as this is going up, I've already released Cuphead. I tried it and I love that game, as you can see when it comes up. Anyway, that's all the time I'm going to take from you today, and I hope you have a great Saturday. Anyway, bye bye!